Chaos erupts around you. People shout. Everything spirals out of control. You feel the tension rising. But then you remember you have a choice. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, betrayal, and plagues, yet he remained unshaken, not because he controlled everything, but because he controlled himself. Your thoughts shape your emotions shape your actions shape your life. Modern psychology confirms this. Stress isn't caused by events, but by how we interpret them. You can't control the world, but you can always control how you respond. But what does this really mean? If our mind holds this power, how do we use it? By the end of this video, you'll have a blueprint for Stoic thinking, a mindset that makes you unshakable. Stay with me until the end, because the last lesson ties everything together. A storm doesn't ask for your permission before it arrives. A betrayal doesn't knock on your door before it strikes. Life is unpredictable, but one thing remains within your control: your mind. The Stoics mastered this distinction: what's within our control and what isn't. Marcus Aurelius couldn't control war, plagues, or treachery, but he could control how he responded. Most people let the world dictate their emotions, angry at traffic, frustrated at news, anxious about the future. But what if you took control? Science now proves what the Stoics knew all along. Neuroplasticity research shows that training your mind rewires your brain. Every thought you repeat, negative or positive, becomes stronger, shaping who you are. Feed your mind with anger, and you'll become bitter. Feed it with discipline and wisdom, and you'll become unshakable. Control your mind, and the world loses control over you. But controlling your mind isn't automatic. It takes practice. The Stoics had a method, a discipline, that built this strength over time. Your mind is like a battlefield. Every day, doubts, fears, and distractions attack from all sides. Without discipline, you lose. But the Stoics had a weapon: self-reflection. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, ended each day the same way: by writing. Not reports, not commands, he wrote to himself. He examined his actions, his failures, his thoughts. Did I let anger control me? Did I waste time on things outside my control? This wasn't just a habit. It was a system for self-mastery. We often dwell on our mistakes, letting them define us. But reflection isn't about punishment. It's about progress. Today, psychologists call this cognitive auditing. Asking yourself, what made me anxious today? What can I improve? Rewires your brain for clarity and resilience. Think about it. When was the last time you truly reflected on your actions? Not just feeling regret, but actively learning from them. Most people let the same negative thoughts haunt them day after day. But discipline turns thoughts into action, and action into progress. Once you build this discipline, something changes. You start seeing challenges differently. You realize it's not the situation that matters, but how you interpret it. Two men sit in a prison cell. One sees only darkness. The other looks up and sees the stars. Same situation, different perception. Most people believe that events themselves make them happy or miserable, but the truth? Events are neutral. It's our interpretation that gives them meaning. A lost job can be the end, or the start of something better. A breakup can be heartbreak or freedom. A failure can be defeat or a lesson. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He faced betrayal, war, and disease. Yet, in his darkest moments, he wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your mind doesn't just witness reality, it builds it. one thought at a time. But if perception shapes reality, how do we change perception? The answer is reframing. Instead of saying, "This is a disaster," ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I failed," say, "I gained experience. Now I know what not to do next time." This isn't just ancient wisdom. Modern psychology calls this cognitive behavioral therapy, reframing negative thoughts to combat anxiety and depression. Studies show that people who practice reframing develop greater emotional resilience. Their stress levels drop, they handle setbacks better, and their overall well-being improves. In one study, participants who reframed daily struggles as learning experiences showed significant reductions in anxiety within just a few weeks. Marcus Aurelius didn't have neuroscience, but he didn't need it. He knew, control your perception, and you control your world. And once you master perception, something incredible happens. Most people chase happiness. The Stoics, they train themselves to see it, right here, right now. A man wakes up and complains about another day of work. Another wakes up and thanks the universe for another day of life. Same morning, different mindset. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful Stoic practices. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already have. Most people chase happiness thinking it's somewhere in the future, after they get a promotion, after they buy a house, after they find the right person. But Marcus Aurelius knew the truth. Happiness isn't in the future. It's in what you choose to see today. Every morning he reminded himself, "You are alive. You have breath in your lungs. You have another day to think, to act, to improve." But how do we train the mind to see gratitude, especially when life is difficult? The answer is simple: practice. Just like lifting weights builds muscle, practicing gratitude strengthens the mind. The Stoics had a habit. Each night they reflected on what went well that day. A conversation, a warm meal, a moment of clarity. Small things, but significant. Modern psychology confirms what they knew all along. Studies show that keeping a daily gratitude journal reduces stress, improves sleep, and enhances emotional resilience. In one experiment, participants who wrote down 3 things they were grateful for every day showed a 25% increase in happiness after just 10 weeks. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion, it's a mindset shift, a defense against anxiety, envy, and dissatisfaction. But what about when things go wrong? Can we still be grateful? The Stoics had an answer for that too. They prepared their minds before adversity even arrived. What if, instead of fearing the worst, you prepared for it? Most people wake up hoping for a perfect day. The Stoics woke up preparing for challenges. Why? Because when you expect adversity, it loses its power over you. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. He would remind himself, "Today, I will meet people who are selfish, arrogant, deceitful," not out of pessimism, but to strengthen his mind. So when adversity came, he wasn't surprised. He was ready. This practice has a name, Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils, a Stoic exercise where you imagine the worst-case scenario, not to dwell on fear, but to train yourself to handle it with grace. Imagine this. You're preparing for an important presentation. You could hope for smooth sailing, or you could think like a Stoic. What if the projector fails? What if the audience is hostile? What if you forget your lines? By mentally rehearsing these failures in advance, you do 2 things. First, you train your mind to handle setbacks calmly. Second, you remove the element of surprise, which is what makes most people panic. This isn't negativity, it's mental armor. But this isn't just ancient wisdom. Today's top performers, CEOs, elite athletes, even Navy SEALs, use a variation of this technique called fear setting. Tim Ferriss, best-selling author and entrepreneur, swears by it. Instead of avoiding fear, he writes down his worst-case scenarios in detail. Then he asks, if this happens, what will I do? How will I recover? This does two things. First, it shrinks fear. The unknown is always scarier than reality. Second, it builds confidence. When you've already planned for the worst, nothing can truly shake you. Neuroscientists have found that visualizing difficult situations activates the same neural pathways as actually experiencing them. In other words, your brain practices handling adversity before it even happens. Elite athletes do this all the time. Before stepping onto the field, they imagine everything that could go wrong: missing a shot, getting injured, losing momentum. Why? Because when these moments actually happen, they react with calm and control. The weak hope for better days, the strong prepare for them. The Stoics always chose preparation. But here's the paradox. Once you prepare for the worst, you can fully embrace the present. Instead of fearing the future, you live with clarity and peace. You can't change the past, you can't control the future, but there is one thing you own completely: this moment. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Despite ruling an empire, despite facing wars and betrayals, he reminded himself daily, do not waste time arguing what a good man should be one. His message was clear: don't just think about life, live it, right here, right now. But today, more than ever, people struggle to stay in the present. Why? Because distractions are everywhere. The average person checks their phone over 100 times a day. Social media, emails, endless scrolling. It all hijacks our attention, pulling us away from real life. And it's not just a bad habit. Science shows that constant digital stimulation rewires the brain, making it harder to focus, harder to enjoy real moments, harder to just be. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, is at the heart of this addiction. Every notification, every like, every new post triggers a small dopamine hit, making us crave more. Over time, our ability to sit still, to think deeply, to simply enjoy the present, starts to fade. A study from the University of California found that it takes 23 minutes to refocus after checking a phone. Imagine how much of life we lose to distractions. Marcus Aurelius had no phone, no emails, no endless distractions. But he did have one rule: focus only on what's in front of you. He believed that true peace comes from full engagement. Whether you're working, eating, walking, or talking to a friend, be there fully. Mindfulness isn't just meditation. It's a Stoic practice. It's the art of being truly present in your own life. And when you master presence, something incredible happens. You stop chasing happiness and start finding it in the small, everyday moments. What if I told you there's a simple habit that can make you happier, reduce stress, improve your health, and even strengthen your relationships? It's not money, it's not success, it's gratitude. Most people think gratitude is just about saying thank you. But the Stoics knew better. Gratitude isn't just a reaction, it's a way of seeing the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly." To him, every moment was a gift, every challenge an opportunity, every day a chance to grow. Gratitude is powerful because it shifts our focus. Instead of obsessing over what we lack, it forces us to recognize what we already have. And in doing so, It neutralizes some of the most toxic emotions, envy, resentment, anger, because when you're grateful, there's no space for comparison, no room for entitlement, no reason to dwell on what's missing. But gratitude isn't just about our inner world, it transforms our relationships too. Studies show that people who regularly express appreciation, whether to a partner, a friend, or a colleague, experience deeper connections and stronger bonds. Think about it. When was the last time you genuinely thanked someone for their presence in your life? Not just a casual thanks, but a real, heartfelt expression of appreciation. The Stoics believed in acting with virtue, and one of the simplest virtues is recognizing the good in others. And gratitude doesn't just change the mind, it changes the body. Studies from the University of California show that people who practice gratitude experience lower stress levels, better sleep, and even improved heart health. Why? Because gratitude reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your body from a state of tension to a state of relaxation. It's like training your brain to default to peace rather than anxiety. The Stoics weren't just philosophers, they were scientists of the human mind. And they understood this truth. The key to happiness isn't getting more, it's appreciating what you already have. Positivity isn't about ignoring reality, it's about mastering it. The Stoics never believed in blind optimism. They didn't say everything will be fine. They said, whatever happens, I will be ready. This is Stoic positivity, not wishful thinking, but mental strength through acceptance. The ability to face hardship, stay grounded, and focus only on what matters. Marcus Aurelius had 3 simple rules for a positive mind. Most suffering comes from resisting reality. The weather, other people's opinions, the past, these are beyond your control. Accept them and you free yourself from unnecessary pain. Your thoughts, your actions, your discipline, these belong to you. Everything else is just noise. The moment you shift your focus inward, you take back control of your life. You don't become mentally strong by accident. Just like building muscle, it takes daily practice. Journaling, gratitude, self-reflection, these aren't just ideas, they're habits that shape who you become. Most people drift through life, controlled by emotions, circumstances, and distractions. But you're not most people. You have a choice to take control of your mind or let the world control it for you. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, practice Stoic gratitude. Every morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Every night, reflect on your thoughts and actions. See how it changes your mindset. Because in the end, the greatest power you have isn't wealth, fame, or status. It's the power over your own mind. And once you master that, you master everything. Master your mind and you master life. Comment below. What's one thing you're grateful for today?